Good evening. I'm Cynthia McBride, the pastor of First Christian Church in downtown Portland, Oregon. It's Thursday, March 26th, 2020. I've had a pretty full day. Lots of meetings, but all of them online. Lots of emails, phone calls, texts, Zoom. It's an interesting way to connect with people. When you're in your own home and they're someplace else, and you talk to one another through a screen. At first it felt a little strange, even though I've done a lot of Zoom before. I've never done it back to back, meeting after meeting after meeting for a very full day. The interesting thing is, after just somewhat of a short period of time, it's starting to feel like the new normal. Some things won't feel normal for a long time, though, while the world adjusts to the coronavirus. Hard to believe, it was just last week that my husband and I went to the beach. It was before the governor of Oregon issued a stay-at-home order. Charles and I decided that we'd really like to hear the ocean waves one more time. We knew at some point we wouldn't be able to go out so much. We talked with friends in Italy, and we figured that sooner or later American cities would also be experiencing longer periods of isolation when people need to stay in for their own safety and for public health to reduce the spread of a virulent disease. So Charles and I went to the beach and walked on the sand. It was right around sunset. I started picking up seashells. Most of them were broken. They'd been tossed around by the waves and maybe even stepped on by a few other people who'd walked there. I don't know how long the certain shells had been around. I picked up part of a sand dollar. It had an interesting pattern on the back, almost looked like the branches of a tree or a topo map of rivers running to the sea. I found myself thinking about broken pieces of life, broken pieces of shells. There was one perfect shell that wasn't damaged, little tiny, very delicate, thin white shell. It was nice to find. I've been thinking about brokenness and wholeness, how some things in our world feel broken, but there's still an underlying wholeness, a unity that binds us together. Psalm 147 speaks of how God binds us together. Verse 3, Psalm 147, God heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Surely many of us are brokenhearted these days. I've been praying for a young family in Washington. I don't even know them. They're co-workers of a friend of mine. Last week, she texted me an urgent prayer request. Their baby was sick. The baby had a high fever and pneumonia. Well, the baby's doing better. And I'm really glad and I'm rejoicing. But now the dad is being tested for COVID-19. And when my friend did a FaceTime call to check on her friend, well, the mom didn't look very good. She said she didn't feel very good. I don't know them, but I'm brokenhearted for a young family that could be in a really bad way. At the same time, today, my husband and I received word of a new baby born into our world, into our extended family. Charles and I have hosted 7 exchange students through the years from different countries. There's a young couple who are both from Slovakia. They live in the Czech Republic now. We were at their wedding. today their second child was born. And we're so excited that little David has come into the world. And his big brother Sam is going to be such a good big brother. It makes me rejoice to think of the wholeness of their family, the unity they'll have soon. Dad wasn't able to be at the hospital with Mom for the delivery because of fear of the virus, caution to not spread any risk of COVID-19. But pretty soon, Mom and baby will get to go home and they'll be together. Their family will feel whole again. I'm praying every day for God to heal the brokenhearted and bind up the wounds of our world. The next verse in Psalm 147, Psalm 147:4 says, God determines the number of the stars and gives to all of them their names. Can you imagine that? God knows every star across the heavens. And God calls them all by name. It's as if God could walk on that beach with me and look down and see not just broken shells, but individual grains of sand. And each grain of sand God could call by name because God made them. Does your life ever feel as insignificant as a grain of sand? Like it could just be washed away and maybe no one would notice? God would notice. God knows your name. God knows Lincoln, the little baby in Washington I've been praying for, and Joshua and Jen, his dad and his mom. God knows David, a little baby just born in Prague, and Samko, his big brother, Dominique and Suska. God knows them all, and God knows you. This is a hard time, a heartbreaking time for everyone in the human family, for everyone who's paying attention to what's happening. It's going to be a long, hard time too. But in the midst of that, I know without a doubt that God is with us. God is calling each one of us by name. And with time, God will take the brokenness of our world and be aware of patterns we cannot even see and put our lives back together again so that we're whole. Not broken or shattered, but complete. Indeed, even perfect as God intends us to be. If your life feels broken tonight, if your heart needs to be bound up a little, spend some time with the Psalms. Spend some time with the one who counts the stars and who knows your name, that you might find peace. Take care, my friends, and know that you are beloved by God. Good night.